Now it's Spock's turn. We see Spock watching himself get born. In a cave while watched by a Vulcan woman, no equipment there whatsoever. That's taken natural childbirth to its greatest extreme, I think. On presenting it to Spock's father, Patrick Swayze, he comments, "So human." What, from a human mother? Well, don't that just beat all? I do not get this movie. What? Wait a minute. I think I got it. I got this film figured out. I went into this thinking this was supposed to be a straight-up epic about the search for God with little bits of humor in it, but I can see now I was completely mistaken. You see, Shatner has brilliantly struck back at Roddenberry's communist-like utopia of the future, what with the whole no money and all that, to come up with this satirical commentary on how the Federation would operate. Their public works projects like Nimbus 3 are mismanaged failures of the highest order. Their representatives like St. John Talbot, corrupt members of the elite, indulging in smoking illegal contraband. Their equipment is all shoddily put together. All their ships but this one are manned by people incapable of a simple rescue mission, clearly having risen to power through adherence to party doctrine rather than ability. They lack even enough competent people to outfit a single ship. Their doctors practice euthanasia almost casually, even with members of their own families, and their socialized medicine means women give birth squatting in a cave. Couple this with the fact that 5 months after this film was released, public pressure forced the Berlin Wall open, and I think it's clear this film's demonstration of the flaws of Marxist implementation caused the end of communism. And when you remember the great critics of Leninism and Stalinism, think 1984, think Animal Farm, think Star Trek V. Now it's Kirk's turn, but he refuses.
Damn it, Bones, you're a doctor. You know that pain and guilt can't be taken away with the wave of a magic wand.
Exactly. Which kind of makes me wonder why you put it in the script. You know your premise is weak when the director comes out and says, "Sorry, everyone. Sorry, we know this is bullshit. Just bear with us." So when Sybok leaves for the bridge, Spock refuses to go with him, which prompts McCoy to do the same. Kirk tries to stop them from going through the Great Barrier, but Sybok insists it's possible because of his vision from God.
He waits for us on the other side. You are mad. Am I?
No, the voices say not to listen to people like you. So Sybok orders them through the planet Shakari. Many have asked me, to my annoyance, why Shakari is my symbol and avatar. The answer is that it is not. My avatar is our sun, as viewed in a certain frequency range. I thought it was an incredible metaphor, something we take for granted that, through science, becomes beautiful. And that explains this, I suppose. Birdie, put it in the movie! But when I see that, all I'm wondering is why they're planning to land on our sun. Anyway, I get the Shakari question every few months or so that's the final nudge for Star Trek V for this slot. If I want to avoid other bad films, I just don't watch them. But even if I don't watch Star Trek V, it comes looking for me. Yes, Star Trek V is stalking me. Anyway, they emerge on the other side, thus proving that no one believed it was possible to cross, not because nobody could pass it, but because nobody ever tried. That makes Kirk's objection look silly. We'll never survive! Why do you say that? Because it's, scary and stuff. He's brought to the bridge now and looks at them all. You backstabbing sons of bitches. Sybok places him back in command, so he decides to do it by the book. Namely, that when going to a potentially dangerous planet, you send the captain, first officer, chief medical officer, and the nearest available religious nut down for reconnaissance.
I am no longer in control of the craft.
I've heard God is my co-pilot before, but never meant literally. God lands them in the middle of nowhere so they can appreciate just how lush and blooming Eden truly is. Kirk wants to get a phaser, but Sybok won't let him, so they go wandering around looking for God. The crew so enthralled that...
Hi, this is Doug Walker. I'm at Con Bravo right now, but I have a big announcement to make. We are going to be at Austria again. That's right, we're coming back to Austria for that big con and night. It was so much fun last time. We're coming back.
As viewed in a certain frequency range. Watch Star Trek V. It comes when going to a potentially dangerous planet, you send the captain... officer, chief medical officer, and the nearest available religious nut down for reconnaissance.
I am no longer in control of the climate.
I've heard God is my co-pilot before, but never meant literally. God lands them in the middle of nowhere so they can appreciate just how lush and blooming Eden truly is. God lands them in the middle of nowhere so they can appreciate just how lush and blooming Eden truly is. Kirk wants to get a phaser, but Sybok won't let him, so they go wandering around looking for God. The crew is so enthralled that no one even bothers to look at the flashing screen announcing that the Klingons are coming. After all that walking, apparently now is the point where Sybok has found his mark, because he looks around in puzzlement at the lack of God.
We have traveled far! My starship.
Nice detail. I'm sure God was wondering if you took the subway. Thank goodness we know what exact change means now. Then everything gets dark and earthquakey, and then, boom! Before the dawn of time, a race of druids. Nobody knew who they were or where they came from. God makes his appearance, and Sybok explains what happened. And it seems God wants to use the ship to pass beyond the Great Barrier. Kirk asks the obvious question. After all, he's dealt with a few self-proclaimed deities in his time. What does God need with a starship? Except in this movie, which has come up with stupid answers for every logical question, I was just expecting more of the same. What does he need with it? Why, with all leather interior, full climate control, surround sound, and a full warranty, how can you hope to be considered divine without one? Well, questioned over his divine power, God responds in the way the scriptures always said. With lightning vision! Yup, turns out God's evil, and Kirk doesn't have his phaser. Then again, not really sure if it'd help. Alright, nobody moves in mysterious ways. Spock gets zapped too, and when Sybok confronts God over it, he reveals himself as Sybok. In other words, that the deity he sought was himself. Yes, the film's message to the antagonist was that he was guilty of having a gigantic ego. Damn, that's just beyond irony. Sybok probably sounds the way Shatner did after opening night.
This is my doing. This is my arrogance. My Bennett.
To atone for himself, Sybok attacks God with his secret pain thing, which is the first time I've ever seen someone attempt to create a martial art through therapy. Kirk decides a photon torpedo will have a better chance and fires it, but apparently set it on pussy since it hits with all the force of a hand grenade as our heroes run away. Here's where the special effects problem comes in, as originally Shatner had envisioned fire and angels becoming harpies and all that, but that was way beyond what they could have dreamed of, so he changed it to a bunch of rockmen. Only problem was the Rockman was horribly unconvincing, so they didn't use it. So instead they were supposed to do a rock blob, according to Shatner's book. For some reason, there is no rock blob, and instead we just have more of God floating around doing lightning vision. The problem was that this was long, long after all the God stuff was done, so they essentially just used a weak drawing of God, which you can understand, and incoherent cries, which you can't. I'm guessing this might have been a mistake since the script made frequent references to Yosemite, because the voice they have chosen for Angry God is Yosemite Sam. Now, I can sympathize with the budget problems, but I cannot sympathize with the decision to have the alleged creator of the universe floating around going, "Ooh, I hate that rabbit." With Yosemite God banging around the shuttle, it can't move, so Kirk has Spock and McCoy beamed up. That, of course, is when Claw strikes, breaking the transporter, naturally. When Claw makes his demands, Spock does his cool thing for the film when he tries to get Cord to stand Claw down.
Damn you, sir. You will try.
So Yosemite God chases Kirk through the ruins, only to get blasted by the bird of prey, and Kirk beamed aboard. Turns out it's Spock who was the gunner, bringing back the theme from earlier that Kirk couldn't have died because he wasn't alone, or with a French guy.
Please, Captain. Right in front of the Klingons.
So with that result, they decide to throw a party to celebrate the mutiny, happily spending time with the Klingons. Sulu and Chekhov, with all the subtlety of a night at the Roxbury, follow one around to watch her ass.